comes from Bart Randolph of Council Bluffs. How closely do you feel the federal government should work with their local government counterparts? How do you plan to work with the local governments in the 3rd District?
Well, first of all, the answer to that question is closely. Absolutely work closely with not only the constituents in the district, but those people who are elected officials who serve you. You know, we talk a lot at various forums, and there's discussion of endorsements and who likes this. I believe voters don't particularly like to be told what to do. What I will do in the position of representative is do the same thing I did in my life, communicate with those folks. And it's the most important aspect of what a person can do to create relationships and to get things done. Because when I go into a room and talk with someone, all I want to know, because I already know what I need and want and have to understand, what I'm more interested in is what that person needs and wants. What are their priorities? You know, empathy in this presidential election is in short supply. In government and in interacting with the governmental bodies, you have to first understand how they work. You have to have knowledge, and you can obtain that over a period of time. But what you can't obtain is how to work with people in a way that's constructive and that gets things done. And that's my goal. In that effort, I'll just explain to you what I've done in this campaign. I've made an effort to go to every elected official, Polk County, Central Iowa, in this area, as many as I could with time would allow, and you get to know the problems. And we have a problem with rural Iowa and urban Iowa in this state, and it's very important for me to reach out to urban Iowa and understand what issues they need help with on the federal level, just as it is in urban, in Des Moines, Council Bluffs. It's simply working together for a common goal, that's all.
How closely do you feel the federal government should work with their local government counterparts? How do you plan to work with the local governments in the 3rd District?
I think the federal government should work very closely with their local counterparts. I mean, let's just low-hanging fruit. How do you know what's taking place if you're not talking to the people in position to know what's happening on the ground? One of the things that I've done to understand the entire district during my last year and a half of running is not only have I visited all 16 counties multiple times, but I actually called all of the administrators listed in each and every county, left all of them messages, and spoke to several of them. Matter of fact, there was one in Guthrie County that called me back, a Republican. Had been a Republican 28 years. He said, Desmond, I've never received a phone call like this in 28 years. And I said, well, how is it that someone can represent your interest but not ask you what's taking place in your community? That makes no sense to me. So if I have the fortune to represent your interests in Washington, D.C., I think it's highly important to have high-level, workable relationships, as well as I believe that will help rebuild the 3rd Congressional District's bench for Democrats throughout all 16 counties as well. We don't just get there. You get there through the hard work and the effort of people seeing you consistently. In fact, I had an interview with the non-Perel, and the question came up about David Young. And I asked him back a question. What is it that you like? One of the key things that they pointed out was that they see David. That's really a low measurement. So at this point, effectively, we need political leadership that engages all the leaders so that we can drive towards success for the entire 16 county district.
How closely do you feel the federal government should work with their local government counterparts? How do you plan to work with the local governments in the 3rd District?
Well, I'm a big believer in letting people do their job. And in our federalism, we have that separation, this additional layer of separation of powers that addresses the different parochial interests that any community may have. So a local government in Council Bluffs may operate very differently than a local government in Des Moines or Greenwood or anywhere else. They may decide that the best way to pick up the garbage here is different than here. That's why we have local government, that's why we have state government, that's why we have federal government. And I oftentimes have people ask me questions, and I do my best to explain how those issues are affected at the federal level, maybe through grants, through legislation, etc. But I believe we should let local government officials and state legislators do their job. The federal government and your federal representative does not need to weigh in on every single issue that comes up. We need to let these folks do their job. That being said, when there is any level of federal interaction, your congressional representative should be your primary point of contact to address those issues. When I worked at the Pentagon, anytime we received a congressional inquiry from a member of Congress, we had to respond to that inquiry within 48 hours, which meant we had to pay specific attention and bring to light whatever the question they had. So if we had a member of Congress, send a question over that says, I'm very concerned because this soldier's family says they're not getting the resources that they need. That meant that a spotlight would be shined on that case, on that issue. It would bring it up to a higher level. That's exactly the way it should work. Your representative is your communication to the federal government, to the executive branch, and when you look at its interaction with local government in this particular question, that's exactly what your representative should be able to do for you. It does depend on communication. As Desmond said, David Young is seen, he's out there. And when he was on Iowa Press recently, he said, I go to all 16 counties once a month. And as any of you have seen Iowa Press, Dean Borg, the moderator, said, okay, that's great, but what are you actually doing for your constituents in Washington? And that's what we're fighting. I think David Young visits all 16 counties every month because he wants to get reelected. It doesn't have anything to do with serving his constituents. We need a representative who's going to go to Congress and get results for their constituents.
The next